Hello, this is going to be a series of videos about Android programming. Every video will be small, bite size and contain exactly one subject as much as possible. This time we're going to talk about navigation, only the simple part of setting up the navigation itself. Other things connected to navigation we will cover in future videos. Well, navigation. Why do we need navigation? Navigation is a means to navigate from screen to screen, or sometimes from fragment to fragment, like we will do in this video. And it also takes care of popping back and other stuff for us. We will see that going through the video series. Well, what do we need to navigate? Well, in general, we need places to navigate to. We need a map not to get lost, and we need a starting place. In our case, places to navigate to will be fragments, which will be the different screens we show. In order to make the map, we will have to create a navigation resource, place on it the fragments that we created in the previous section, define the transitions between them, and go to the fragment code to write code which executes the transitions. After all that, we'll have to define a starting place, which means adding to the main activity a navigation host. We have an empty project here, and as I said, the first thing we will do is add fragments. I'll put them in a new package I'll call UI. I'll have 3 fragments. Now that we have the fragments, that's the places to navigate to, we have to create our map. In order to do that, there are a number of ways. The easiest is to go right here. You have your resource manager, choose navigation, and add a navigation graph. Let's call it my nav. This is a graphical interface for creating the map. Then we go up to this area here and add our fragments. If we haven't created the fragments before, we could create them right here now, but I like to create them in advance. So these are our fragments. Notice that fragment 1 is the first one I added. It has this house on it. It will be the first place we start navigating to once we start the navigation itself. If you want to move this house, you select the place you want it, and now that will be the starting place. But I want this to be the starting place of the graph, and in order to define the transitions, you select a fragment, click the circle here, and just drag an arrow. Now let's drag one this way, and also from 2 to 3. If you have a complicated graph, it's worth trying to hit these 3 stars up here, which sometimes organizes it in a nicer way, but this time it didn't. Just so it's easier to see what we're doing, I'll go in and change the way these fragments look. Well, we can do that by double-clicking the fragment. We transition directly to the fragment. Okay, that's good enough. So we have our fragments, they look all different, and let's look what our next stage should be. We have to go to the fragment code, Kotlin code, and set up the transitions. So in fragment 1, we have to find the function called onCreateView. This function returns a view. This is this line. Now we want to add something here, then let's just write val, not q, view. Now using this view, we want to gain access to the text in the view. So we use find view by ID. We're going to return a text view. Which one? Dot ID dot go to 2. And for this text, we're going to set the onClick listener. And when the onClick listener runs, what we want to do is use a navigation, find navigation controller of the view. If we ever forget what we're looking for, we have the tooltip up top. Using this navigation controller, we want to navigate. And what do we want to navigate back? We want to by. We want to use the commands we set up here. So now we want to go from 2 to 3. We want to use this command. Okay, let's look in the code here what we have. Frag1 has 2 commands, action from 1 to 2 and action from 1 to 3. Then we want to use action from 1 to 2. Dot ID dot. So that's what we want to happen when we hit that. Let's see if it works. Of course it won't work, because we didn't go through the whole list of what we said we should do. The next stage is to define the starting place, which we have to hook up our fragments and all our navigation graph is the main activity, which will be the only activity we have. How do we do that? We go to main activity. The easiest way is to go to the design. If there's anything here, delete it and look for our nav host fragment. Drop that in here. Go to the code. Why didn't that work? I didn't choose it. Drop that in here. Choose the navigation graph you want to hook up. The reason it didn't, let's do that again. It didn't work. What I have to do is drop that in here. Choose the navigation graph you want to hook up. There may be a few navigation graphs. Once that's hooked up, you have to go into the code and just make it match parent. And now it will look like this. Now hopefully it will work. Compiled and running. So if I hit go to 2, I am 2, and go to 3. And also back will work. Now all we have to do is basically copy paste and update the commands hiding behind this navigation action. So we go back to here. Let us copy and paste all this. This is going to be text 2. And we're going to hook it up to go to 3. And the action is go from fragment 1 to fragment 3. Yes, it is that simple. Here now also that will work. So we can go to 3, go back, go to 2, go back. Basically we just have to repeat this in fragment 2 to conclude the action we want to do. So now we have everything set up. We can launch it, go from 2 to 3, and it crashes. Let's see why it crashes. Well, go from 2 to 3 isn't an action. It's a handle to text. What we wanted to do is go into this action here that has action fragment 2 to fragment 3. From 2 to 3. Now we're in 3. Now we can go back. We're back in 2. Now we're back in 1. We can go also this way to 3 and go back. So we see that the navigation system takes care of storing the path we took and popping back when we hit the back button. And that is all for this video. Now I strongly suggest that before you go on to other videos, you create something simple just like this, maybe even without the visual components, just so you know that you can do it, and preferably do it over and over again until you can do it without looking at notes or referring back to the video. So you can set up your fragments, set up the navigation graph, hook it into the main activity, hook up all the commands in the Kotlin side, and get everything working. Once you can do that, you're ready for your next video. If you found this helpful, please leave a comment below, leave a like. Also look in the description of this video, because I will link to other resources which I find very helpful. Thank you and goodbye.